I had a chat with my wife the other day over a glass of wine about how this all started. Why am I training IT recruiters? And I thought I would share this story with you guys also. So it all started years ago. I remember there was lots of pressure on my shoulders in my previous company. So I was a CTO, I was responsible for the product development, for engineering, and our task list was just endless. Like everyone in the company had so many different ideas, which is usually great unless you are the one who is supposed to implement it all, right? So I was under lots of stress, and I remember talking to our CFO in our favorite coffee shop just across the street from our offices. And I told him, hey dude, we need more manpower, we need more developers. So luckily, eventually he approved the budget for the first batch of developers. Unfortunately, he hasn't approved the budget for recruitment, no budget for commissions whatsoever. And I thought, like, how am I supposed to get all these people on board? So he suggested I hire them myself because, this is a startup and that's what the cool startups do anyway. And he even suggested I could use our internal HR. Hello. So that was one person back then. And that was a really cool guy, really great person. He knew how to hire customer service agents, how to interview top managers. He was a very confident guy. But he struggled as soon as I asked him to help me hire software developers. I even remember one weekend, over the one weekend, we have co-organized a hackathon. So over 150 developers spent the whole weekend at our offices. 2 days locked at an office. Well, one would assume this to be a heaven for a recruiter, right? A heaven on earth, but not for this recruiter. Because he didn't know what to ask those developers. He didn't know nothing. He didn't know anything about the technologies, about the projects they're working on. So it was quite cumbersome for this HR manager, right? And I remember I wanted to build a great product team with the right developers, a great data engineering team, a QA team, all that to help us build a great product team and a great product eventually. And my co-founders expected me to lead these recruitment efforts. They expected me to hire developers, but this was in Asia. I have never been to Asia before, in Thailand, in Bangkok. So I was like, how can I do this? I felt so insecure. I was worried if I can find the right people to join the product and engineering team. I was wondering if I can ever fulfill these KPIs related to recruitment. That was a very frustrating experience. Eventually, I've learned how to hire developers, how to get them on board, how to relocate them from different countries, which was really cool. But I almost burned out along the way because of all the pressure on my shoulders. And around the time I was onboarding these developers during one of our IT trainings, internal trainings, I realized, hey, I could train these topics to our HR manager and some other recruiters also. Not as advanced, obviously, but still pretty much the same IT topics. Just imagine how wonderful would it be to have an HR manager who understands the technologies, who can speak developers' language, who is confident during our next hackathon or a meetup. I was like, wow, okay, I'll do this. I'll try it with this colleague of mine. And I started explaining some of these IT terms. I gave him a few scripts, some topics, some questions to ask during his next interview. And that's been quite helpful. And along the way, I realized this is really challenging because recruiters in general don't come with IT background. Like they have no prior IT experience most frequently. They are not tech savvy. So I had to find a way how to communicate some of these IT topics in an easy way, like use lots of real world examples from my past experience. And I'm sure you guys have heard these jokes about recruiters who don't know the difference between Java and JavaScript. There are just so many jokes out there, and I used to laugh on these jokes also, right? Some of them are funny, but I'm not laughing anymore because I realized it's just the lack of exposure to this IT world. That's a problem. It's not the recruiters. They have great soft skills. They know how to interview people. They know how to get them excited. But it's the lack of IT experience. It's the lack of IT exposure. That's the problem. So since I'm training recruiters in these IT fundamentals, IT terminology, I enjoy working with recruiters across different time zones in different countries. It's been a great fun. That's very rewarding experience. That's why I'm doing it, right? So we have set up this really cool training for recruiters in IT to learn not just about these terms or acronyms, but how to use them. How to use them in a small talk, how to use them during a discussion with a developer, how to use these terms and this knowledge to interview and to hire developers successfully, to be eventually of great help to hiring managers, someone like me in the past. All right, so this is the training we have been working on in the past. It's been very helpful so far based on the feedback we receive. And maybe at some point, if you need to learn more about IT, if you need to learn more about how to hire developers with confidence, you may want to join our training program. The Technical Fundamentals is a great start.